on, everybody? It's Saturday night. No frills this evening. No waiting music or theme song.
Nothing.
We're going right into it because we have a very special guest joining us today. We have Ken Reed joining us for a second time on the show. Thank you,
Gentlemen.
thank you.
Nice to be here.
The amazing
Although
Reed.
I feel like it's not a good trade-off. Like you have me, you don't get to have a theme song. Like that's not fair.
It's
for your
fine.
viewers.
They've heard it.
We'll get
before.
it figured out.
Get it
somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would cost $20 a month to upgrade StreamYard. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Like you guys have a theme song at home. We don't need to get this one.
Yeah.
We actually have 2 theme songs.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like,
welcome.
you guys haven't heard the real theme song. Like if people are patrons, they get the real theme song.
Yeah, you get the real
Flash
deal.
the Dakota ring, then you get the real theme
Yeah.
song. Yeah.
Well, there's one for when we stream, and then there's one that I put into the actual like audio version of the podcast.
I gotcha. Give the people who have the visuals versus the audio people a little something different.
Little treat.
Yeah, you know, it's like when you get that Japanese import, 7-inch, right?
Yeah.
It's got a
But the B-side, that's not that
Yeah.
good, but you still pretend you like it because you paid extra for it.
But you wanted it. Now you
Yeah.
have it.
But yeah, we assembled tonight to talk Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yes, not part 7, like you put.
Yeah, I fucked that up. Of course. There's always like one error with every one of our social media posts, and yeah, it was. I sorry, I fucked up the Roman numeral.
Yeah.
Goddamn Romans.
Fucking numerals.
Yeah.
Numbers and stuff. Yeah, this like I remember like loving the hell out of this movie when I was a kid. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I was always a huge like Jason fan, like growing up over Freddy. Like that was
For sure.
Yeah. And then like I hadn't seen this movie in a very long time.
Well,
It's not
I don't know
great.
if you
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but like on like one Friday the 13th every year, I think it was USA would do a Friday the 13th marathon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they always had this one in rotation.
Yeah.
Like this was always in it.
Because it was the newest one. They spent the most money on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Rolling out the crown jewel first,
Because this, in my view, this is really the final Friday the 13th movie. From
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause you
'Cause
get
the next one after this
Jason
is
Goes
Jason
to
Goes to Hell, which is
Yeah.
kind of a lot
it's
more
New Line. It's not
a lot more
Paramount.
surreal, a lot more like mystic and stuff too. Like whereas
Yeah.
this is just kind of like he's just more of a slasher, but it does have like the zombie aspect to it.
I mean,
This-
from 6 on, they turned it up every single installment. But like, I feel like post this one, the others feel like fan fiction or reboots. This is sort of the universe that started with part 1. This is
This
sort of
is like the
end.
last bastion of like the formula. And
yeah,
it's everything that's great and terrible about the formula.
It's
Because you
true.
get really fun, cool kills, these really memorable moments. Like, even if you don't enjoy this movie, you remember shitloads of it.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Um,
I mean, I'm never forget watching a guy get his head boxed off.
yeah, right.
And then the
It's
POV.
dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
the POV from the severed head.
But the worst part about that is that he nails it. He gets in the dumpster and the lid falls down.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jason. He's been practicing that. We don't know what
Yeah.
he's been doing in the woods. Yeah, like this, but this was the biggest bomb of them, which is why the series ended. This
Yeah.
this
Was it
was the
really?
most
I did not know that.
expensive. This is
Yeah.
the most expensive one they made. It cost $54 million. It barely made money, which was insane for a Friday the 13th movie. So
Was it
that's when
55?
54,
Okay.
55, I think, yeah. Which is why Paramount was like, dump it. And they sold it to New Line.
Yeah.
Well, there was also
they
there's
sold
3
it.
oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, man. They sold the Jason Voorhees character, but they kept Friday the 13th, right? Is that what it was?
There was a
Like,
big
it's-
court case because the original writer of the original script sued them about who owned the characters.
Yeah.
So he, I think, ultimately owned everything that happens in the first movie, and Jason's not technically in it, despite the shock scene. So
Yeah.
so they could sell the Jason Friday the 13th thing, but if it was anything with Mrs. Voorhees or like the events of part 1, they didn't have the rights to, and that took forever until they did the remake. They sorted out the rights with that. But yeah, Paramount dumped it. It was Sean Cunningham used to make porn movies for mobsters. And along with Wes Craven, they made several pornographic films for New York mobsters.
Yeah.
But the three guys who really owned Friday the 13th were these three Armenian mobsters from Boston who owned like sleazy theater chain and are basically our version of 42nd Street. And they cashed out from their deal with Paramount after this movie.
Yeah.
So the mob was like, yeah,
The mob's done with it.
Yeah. If the mob's giving up, then it's definitely not making money.
Yeah.
No.
But like this is the one I think like probably was the most popular, like at least when I was a kid, like the one everybody wanted to watch the most, but probably just because it was the newest one.
It's the newest one, and it's got like some of the cooler kills. Well, maybe not the cooler ones, but like they're iconic.
Yeah.
You know, to see somebody get their head bashed in with a guitar, or the head punching scene, like it's just shit that you'll always come back to. Even when Jason is walking down the street and he kicks the punk's radio, like it's stupid and it really shouldn't be there, but it's iconic and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
It's like just for the trailer. Like that whole thing is like, we need to shoot something that we can put in the trailer. And this is it.
I remember that where he takes his mask off. That was definitely in the trailer.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, okay, man." Yeah, this one, I think for a lot of us, I think we're all of similar age. I think it ends up being their favorite one as well. Because for I think a lot of people, this was probably the first one they saw either in the theater or was the first one they knew was coming out. Like all the others were kind of, you'd rent them and they seemed older. Like you didn't quite remember them being new. And this was kind of the first one that were like, it's the new one. It's out this summer.
What was the first one? 79?
81.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it filmed in 79 then, I think.
I think it was filmed at 79, 80, and 80.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the guy who's done the timeline online?
No.
Because the movies have this weird timeline where like the first three take place over 3 days, but came out over 3 years. And then it goes forward like 5 years, like three times. So by this one, although it came out in 89, it should be set in like 97 based on the timelines of the movies, which is really weird. This guy went through and did all the math, and it's like this really fascinating, weird timeline. So technically this is sort of a sci-fi film.
It's a futuristic, sci-fi, dystopian future.
This is like Escape from New York.
Escape from Fox News, New York.
Year, 97.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And oddly, Giuliani has worse teeth than Jason Voorhees.
Worse sexual habits, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Jason married his cousin. And oddly, if there was an iconic horror film villain I would equate with Giuliani, it's Pumpkinhead.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, this was disappointing. I remember this being disappointing at the time when I saw it in the theater. And I was reading Fangoria, and I was like, I'm very excited about this, but we always just refer to it as Jason Takes the Boat.
Yeah.
Because there's very little actual taking of Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's really the only last like 25 minutes of the movie or so.
I like that they're doing like the most stereotypical comical version of New York, where it's all just punks and rapists.
It's Warriors, Fox News New York. Yeah.
It's Warriors. Yeah.
Which would be a great crossover. Like I'd watch that if the Lizzies are fighting Jason Voorhees.
Hell yeah.
But it's not the best. It's weird because like 6 up the ante, because now in part 6 he's a real zombie. We have like actual supernatural elements in here, which we didn't previously. Then 7, it's like we got a Jedi.
Yeah, telekinesis and stuff.
Yeah. And like a good guy zombie when the dad comes up out of the water at the end. So I'm like, where can we go from there?
And we have the most famous zombie, Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes.
7, yeah.
So it's like, what else you gonna do? And I guess the toxic waste fountain of youth is weirder, but it was kind of like a little bit, you know, it makes sense that like Jason Goes to Hell and those further escalated the fantasy level because you kind of
Where
got to
else do you
outdo
go?
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I got Toxic Avengered into a little boy in the last movie.
Yeah. And I think this was only the second time Kane Hodder was Jason.
Yeah,
believe.
7 was the first one. I
7
believe.
was the first one. He was in 7, 8
and then Goes to Hell.
Goes to Hell
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
replaced him.
Is he in
for
Jason X?
Jason X? No,
No, he's not in Jason X.
no. And he was pissed about it.
I mean,
He
you know,
wanted to
Kane
be-
Hodder, fair enough, but like, dude, no one knows if it's you or not. Like, no one's like,
Nope. I sure as shit do, man. Because Kane Hodder was the one that brought in the heaving chest thing. So, like, if you see Jason breathing really hard and his chest is moving a lot, that's how you know it's Kane Hodder.
which weirdly is when the character doesn't need to breathe.
Yeah.
He's no
When he's a
longer
zombie.
alive. It's just like a weird twitch he has.
Yeah. I don't know. I love Kane Hodder.
I think he might be my favorite Jason. Yeah. I mean, I
For
can't
a
really name
while-
any of the other ones.
Yeah.
For a while, I had a weird thing with Kane Hodder, who I don't know, but would work a lot of conventions and he'd always be there. And I was running a
Yeah.
panel once, and it was with the guy, what the hell's that movie? Adam Green. Yeah.
Hatchet.
Hatchet.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a
yeah,
Hatchet
yeah.
panel. And he was like kind of like heckling and giving him shit. And I just went, "May I swear, by the way?" I forgot to ask.
Oh,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Okay.
We
I just
encourage
went, I just went, "Shut the fuck up, Kane Hodder." And then I'm like the whole room got quiet, and then I was like, "I don't know Kane Hodder." And then he was like,
Yeah.
"Ah, ha, 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 ha." And then everyone was laughing. And then I was at another convention in California like a month later, and I was in the men's room, and I was peeing next to Kane Hodder, and he turned to me and he goes, "I think that's enough shaking." And then I went, "Don't fucking tell me what to do, Kane Hodder." And like everyone in there was like, "What's gonna happen?" And
Yeah.
then I was at another convention in Cincinnati, and it was really slow, and he had a foghorn and he kept blowing it off, and it was really annoying. And so like his booth was behind mine through the curtain, and I just at one point opened the curtain. I was like, "Cut the shit, Kane Hodder." It was like, this
It
is our
sounds like you're
dynamic
best
now.
friends with Kane Hodder. Now.
Yeah, I don't know him at all. Those are my only interactions with him ever.
He didn't choke you for a picture, did he?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Well, that's his thing. Like, if he takes a photo with fans, he'll
Grab you by the
he'll
neck.
really grab you by the throat to get that shocked look. Apparently, he stopped doing it for a while because like he didn't want people to like actually get upset.
Yeah.
But he was like, fuck it," and he started doing it again.
There's a lot of ways you could grab someone to shock them. I guess that's the least offensive,
Yeah. Yes. You can
or
grab him by
the most
means of reproduction.
photogenic way.
Yeah. And my dad has a picture with him like that.
I talked to him for a little bit at a convention in Boston. Like, this is 2005. So this is a long ass time ago. And yeah, he seemed like a cool enough guy. I didn't get to talk to him for too long, but
Yeah.
Uh.
His book is really good. It is really
Yeah,
good.
the documentary's decent about him as well. If you haven't seen that,
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
got,
that,
like,
that had a
super
bunch of
into, like,
Elvira stuff. in
ghost
it, too.
hunting
Yep.
for a while, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this was the only movie I think in the series that was written and directed by the same guy. So Rob Hedden wrote and directed this movie. It was the first fiction film he wrote and directed. He had done a documentary on the making of Brazil, the Terry Gilliam movie that's really good and is on the Criterion disc.
Yeah.
And he had written some TV. I think he wrote 4 episodes of Friday the 13th, the series, which is how he got Frank Mancuso Jr.'s attention. So he let him write the script and direct it, and didn't do much after that. He did wrote and directed Knight Rider 2000 in 1991.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
was looking
TV
at
stuff.
before.
Yeah.
But yeah, as your debut writer director, I don't know if I'd want to take a franchise.
Yeah, number 8 in the
The
franchise.
eighth the eighth in the series.
Yeah.
But I guess he had higher hopes for it, but he just didn't have the actual budget for it.
It is like, I mean, like, even though it has Jason in it, it is a very like generic kind of like slasher. There's really like, it's kind of boring almost. It's on the boat. Like people just kind
No,
of
it's totally one dimensional.
yeah. There's not much going on. It's just somebody dies. Okay, just kills the next person. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just had a very generic feel when I was watching it today, and like I didn't remember it being that.
It reminds me more of like Terror Train or like Killer Party or like not even Hell Night, because that at least had some like atmosphere, but like the sort of like college reunion conceit of it, and there
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
felt
like
really you know what? There's no camp. Without there's no
it's like
camp.
April Fool's Day, but with the
Yeah.
actual killings.
yeah. There's like odd thing. There's like stuff that doesn't make sense that nobody is like playing it off as odd. They're just playing it all dead serious. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love April Fool's Day.
It's fun.
It really I think now I've just realized what the big problem is if you have Jason without a summer camp, like it doesn't work.
yeah.
Well, because this approach takes a lot of the suspense out of it, and like the movies before this, it was always like, yeah, it's a slasher movie, but the time in between the killings is tense.
Yeah.
This is just goofy.
It's hide and go
this is more.
seek.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just kind of a conveyor belt. It's just kill. Okay. Next kill.
Yeah.
Next. There's really. Like I
Right.
said, there's no flesh to the story or anything.
Yeah.
Have you ever played the Friday the 13th game?
Yes.
The PlayStation game? That really captured, because it literally is hide and seek. Like some people are Jason, some people are, but it's genuinely scary. Like you'll just be waiting, hiding, and like hope you don't get found. And part of that is like how big the map is, right? So, and you can't escape, which having an escape makes it scarier to be waiting to get caught. And on the boat, no one can escape. Like it's a boat. Like the fact that Jason can be like anywhere in the woods, you don't know where he could be. You might get out of there, you might not. That makes the whole thing scarier, weirdly. And just everyone's stuck on this boat. Like, who cares? You're like, he's on the boat with you. It's a boat. It's not that big. Like, he's there somewhere. For some reason, that like a smaller space makes it way less suspenseful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they gave him the tools to be like creative with the kills either. I mean, I guess how many times can he stab a guy in the throat with a pitchfork?
7.
But
Yeah.
7.
Oh,
7.
I've heard.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just so lackluster.
Yeah, like a little hollow. Like I don't know. It just didn't scratch that itch.
It also, I think they swung for the fences with. Wow, I made a sports reference. That's weird. With taking him out of Crystal Lake, like the Manhattan thing was like, we need to do something crazy. We'll have him be in Manhattan, but that really just showed how weak the character is. And when the atmosphere of the woods and summer camp and that kind of stuff is gone, it's completely ridiculous. Like there's nothing scary about it. Like even the tension where like we're running from him in Times Square and stuff, like you're just like, I really don't care. Like nobody.
Like you could literally go anywhere.
It'd be so easy to lose him in New York. Like,
yeah. And I think they were going for a thing like like Stephen King always gets a lot of credit for when he put like real things in his books, like somebody watching the Tonight Show or whatever, and that like made it scarier because you're like, I watched the Tonight Show and I could get murdered.
That makes it relatable,
yeah. But this has the opposite effect of like, well, sure, like you're not going to be afraid of Jason because you're not at a campsite, but you go to New York. What if? And it's like, no, like that makes it not scary all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
now he's just a maniac in New York.
I mean, especially like they highlight like Times Square. That area now is like Disney World without rides. So like that's what I'm picturing. Like,
And there were so many things. I've not read the original script, which I do realize has much more in New York in it than that we got. But the things that I would have expected them to do in New York, they didn't. Like Jason goes into a Times Square theater showing a horror movie and see how the audience reacts when they're like, hey, fuck you, whatever, and then start slaughtering people. Like that would have been a really cool scene to do.
That would have been awesome.
That's like a reason you'd go there, right? But they didn't even approach that,
No, I didn't even see like a sleazy porno theater.
No.
Somebody puts a quarter in, the screen comes up, and Jason's there. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I want? You know what I want is I want Jason in like Frank Henenlotter's New York.
Yeah. But that's a good example. like Frank Henenlotter's New York, even though it's silly, like his movies are kind of more comedy than horror, they're
Yeah.
disturbing and gross and make you feel uncomfortable in
That
a
version
way
of
that
New York is the
sleazy
New
New
York
York
you never
does.
want to go
Yeah,
to.
right. And that's how you make a giant city like that scary. Like the isolation of being in a summer camp without help is why some silent guy with a machete and a hockey mask is scary.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I hate the resurrection scene in this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't
such
make
a
any
cop
sense.
out.
Yeah.
Such a cop out.
2 electrocutions and he's alive. Part 6 and
Yeah.
part 8.
Yeah.
Well, I
he
mean,
gets third rail electrocuted in this one too. and it's
That's
still
true.
going, yeah.
But the one in 6 was fucking badass.
yeah, because that was gothic horror. Like it was like a Hammer
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
this
was
one's
just
like
like-
an afterthought. Like,
There's like, I don't know, underwater cable.
Yeah, sure.
That'll work.
is that a thing?
Hit by an anchor. Yeah.
Yeah.
In this lake that kids swim in all the time, there's a 1,000-volt live wire in it. Is
Yeah,
that
you
a
know,
thing?
This
Yeah.
this lake with an inlet to the Atlantic
Yeah,
Ocean.
somehow this sleepy little lake
Yeah.
that connects to the Atlantic Ocean.
I mean, I guess it could somehow link up with the Hudson River, but the other thing in 7 though is the worst resurrection. Like, oops, I tried to resurrect my father that I killed with my psychic abilities and accidentally resurrected Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
It's not like a wrong number.
My resurrection aim is a little off today. Like
Slightly off. How am I supposed to know there's another body in this lake?
I mean, theoretically, there should be a lot of bodies in that lake.
Yeah. Like there'd be all kinds of mob hit guys up there because they're going to drive up to some, camp that's closed during the winter and
Fuck
dump
yeah.
people in the lake there.
Fuck
Of course. Of course. Yeah, I've never met anyone who wasn't disappointed by this movie.
You know what's fucked up is because I used to love it as a kid.
yeah.
It was one of my favorites.
Yeah, and like watching it today, I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with me? Like,
Yeah, well, it's a perspective thing. Like
Yeah.
you've gained perspective on what's like quote unquote quality now that you're not,
and,
10
yeah,
years old. Or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, a teenager or whatever.
Also, you realize how I don't know if people agree with me on this, but how little personality Jason has as a character and how
No, it's just rage.
Yeah.
because even like obviously like Freddy Krueger has an advantage because he speaks and Michael Myers is just the kind of the original there, but where those characters have very strong identities and personalities, when you do take them out of the environment they're known for, it still works.
Yeah.
And here you like all this did was make me realize how weak of a character Jason is, because even as a 9-year-old, when I saw this, I was like, oh, the woods was most of the scary.
Yeah.
That's because the woods are scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like inherently scary. And the idea of being at camp, even though it's it's the counselors and stuff that are getting killed, but you're like, there's no adults here
Yeah.
to
You're away
save
from
us,
home,
really.
away from your
Yeah.
safety that you know as a kid.
Yeah.
So that's like the terrifying part. And when you take that out, you're like, all right, we're running on 20% right now.
Yeah. Also, I've got to assume this is like the 4th harpoon gun kill that he's had in the series.
And also,
He's got
why does
proficiency with harpoon gun.
some booze cruise boat that some college kids are renting have a harpoon gun on it?
Why not?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's
even
the
if
booze, then the harpoon guns.
Yeah.
right, like even if it's used for like deep sea fishing excursions, sometimes they're not gonna have a harpoon gun on it. There's like 2
Yeah.
things you hunt with those.
I don't think we have halibut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You might catch a stray marlin in Crystal Lake every now and again. Like,
this was also the first Friday the 13th movie that I recall where one of the main cast was someone who I was aware of as an actor. Like Kelly Hugh had been on Growing Pains and had been Miss Teen USA.
yeah.
And so I knew her as like the actor, which also took me out of it a little bit, because the fact that like everyone in a Friday the 13th movie was a complete unknown,
Yeah.
and so that made you feel like, oh, anyone can die at any time, or like
Yeah.
it made it, I guess this will sound stupid, but it made it feel less like a movie, sort of like it didn't constantly
Well, yeah,
remind you as a
you can't-
movie.
You can't go, oh, I know him from this. I know
Right.
her from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going like, that's just a person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kevin Bacon was one of those persons at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. But that was before he was Kevin Bacon. Like,
Well, no, he was Kevin Bacon.
Well,
He
yeah.
just wasn't
It wasn't
Kevin
known
fucking
Kevin
Bacon.
It was
Yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
Pig. It was he hadn't been.
He was uncured at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
Kevin Hogass.
There's a thing in I think it's in part 7 that works for me, and it's like one of the things in hindsight. Sorry if I'm talking too much, aren't I? I'm
No,
just, like,
dude,
babbling.
go for
You're
it.
here to talk, brother.
Yeah, explore
One of the
space.
things that actually legitimately disturbs me and like haunts me the older I get, and it's the only thing for the Friday the 13th movies that does this, and it's the character in part 7 who is like sort of the Jason hunter, like he's the one whose sister was killed.
Yeah.
And
Is it the basement scene? The
Yes.
cellar scene?
when
Yeah.
he's saying like he's killing me, he's killing.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, it seems silly, but now I'm like, that's really
That's
fucking
horror.
disturbing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
horrible, and it feels really real because like
Yeah.
that terrifies me. And the weird thing is that scene was inspired by that. I can never remember this woman's name, but it's a case in New York where that woman was being murdered and was asking for help, and the whole
Kitty Genovese, I think. Her name
yes, it was
Yeah.
inspired by that. And so then you take the next movie to New York and then completely don't do anything like that. Like there's never
Yeah.
a scene where he's like killing, like people's like, help me. And people are like, whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
sort of, but it's just really badly done.
Like the train scene would have been perfect for that. Like, you're on the subway, you've seen crazy fucked up shit. Like most people just ignore it. Like,
Yeah.
that would have been a good spot for
They
that.
just, no, I'm going to carry on with my day here.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? Like thinking of a subway scene in a ridiculous slasher horror movie that works better than that is Neon Maniacs.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
What one?
Neon Maniacs?
Neon Maniacs. It takes place in San
Oh.
Francisco, and there's a scene. It's bizarre. It's my favorite weird bad horror movie. It's essentially about the village people of monsters that live in the Golden Gate Bridge and dissolve
Okay.
in water. But there's a scene where there's 2 musical numbers. Andrew Divoff is in it. It has the
Fucking
greatest.
sold.
It has the greatest Percy Rodriguez trailer of all time. It like he uses the phrase. He goes, in diabolical order, because there's 8 different it's amazing. But there's a scene where like the 2 main teenage kids are on a date, and the Neon Maniacs are like chasing them, and they're chasing them through this subway car, and it's legitimately scary. Like it feels dangerous and scary, and part of the reason is it's isolated. Like there's no one else on the subway. I don't know why, but you
Yeah.
don't question
Yeah.
it in the thing, and it's like the Jason one kind of does everything wrong based on that working for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's a really strong thing that you're touching on here is that like when there's a horrible thing happening and nobody is around, it makes it way worse. So think like
I was gonna say my favorite subway horror scene is American Werewolf in London, where it's
Yeah.
like one guy in the subway by himself, and like just that one shot where it's just nobody around and it's overhead, and you see him like on the floor and the wolf just like walking up like overhead.
Yeah.
I don't
love
find this
that
least
shot.
bit amusing. That's what he says right before.
well,
The most British way to die.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like where I was going with it was like if you think back to the movie Possession, I don't know if you've seen
Yeah,
it.
I've seen it.
Yeah. That I think that was a subway where she's like sprawled out on the floor.
Yes, and she's just going
like,
crazy.
She's
Like
going crazy, and all the like the milky fluid is coming out of her and shit.
yeah,
Like that's way worse because she's by herself.
yeah,
Yeah.
That is a nasty scene.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
also
nasty
something.
movie.
Oh yeah, that movie's so. But Isabella Johnny's so great.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for. I think there's people who kind of looked at like, oh, modern horror takes place in the places we're familiar with, and that's why it's scary and blah blah blah. But the thing that they're missing there is those places you're familiar with. They're scary out of context. So like a high school at night is
Yeah.
terrifying. A subway where you're alone at night is scary. A closed department store when no one's there. That's like a really terrifying thing that during the day when everyone's there, like it's fine. But
Yeah.
in this slight tweak of context, now it's terrifying all of a sudden. And you don't get that with a 24-hour city
Yeah,
where
but
there's
there's just always somebody
thousands
around,
of people everywhere in New York.
Yeah, you have to like look for the places that nobody is.
Yeah.
Like, where is that in New York?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Well, I don't know what
nowhere.
was on Broadway that year. It depends. If something really bad was running.
It's probably Cats.
Cats, yeah, I was gonna say Cats
Yeah.
still around at that point.
You know, all the suits were made of yak hair.
Gross. But they smelled awesome.
Oh,
But people again forget that this movie killed the franchise for till '93.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had a
that's true.
movie every year until.
Did not realize that until I was, when I was a kid. Like it did go away for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Jason Goes to Hell came out, and we never went and saw it. We just rented it on VHS.
Yeah.
And I was not overly chuffed about it,
Yeah.
but
Well, it was that classic thing where, there's a bunch of sequels that were unrelated scripts that, like, famously, like the Die Hard movies and, all
Yeah.
where we're like, oh, they clearly just glommed this on another script. But the Friday the 13th movies were never like that until Jason Goes to Hell, which is
Yeah.
clearly a completely different horror movie script that they've grafted Jason onto.
Yeah,
you're just
stuck
like,
Jason.
that was the one where it was like the spirit of
heart.
Jason.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the hidden.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And you're like, what? And at first I thought it was like stylistically it's very different because by 93, like, there was sort of different, it was sort of that post Hellraiser kind of vibe for horror movies. And for a while I thought it was that, but then I saw Ronnie use Bride of Chucky, and I'm like, this is the best Chucky movie. And it's super stylistic and like slick and I'm like, okay, then Jason Goes to Hell is just bad.
My favorite Child's Play movie is 3.
It's one of the military schools.
Yeah.
Military school.
Yeah. And it's probably just because I saw it the most. It's just like I used to watch movies on repeat as a kid. So it's like whatever I had is what I watched. And I want to say I had that one recorded off like USA or something back in the day. And it's just like, yep, I'm gonna watch that. Watch that. That's why I'm so in love with the Odyssey, the
miniseries,
TV
on NBC
miniseries with
Armand Assante.
Yeah.
Not the gaming system from 1978 that Sears sold.
No, not that one.
Yeah, and when, like, it, obviously Halloween was kind of the first big hit slasher movie, and I know there were others before that, but
yeah, I think
in the first Friday the 13th is a ripoff of a Mario Bava movie that was from 10 years before that. It's the same exact movie. Which, have you ever seen that Twitch of the Death Nerve, the Mario Bava movie from 1972?
I have not.
It's great. But like literally Bava kind of invented the Giallo movie, which is like killer POV, you don't know who the killer is, but in that specific movie, it takes place at a summer camp. The spear through two people scene is in it. Like, it's the first movie is that. And it's Halloween was kind of a ripoff of Black Sunday, which was super, influenced by Giallo stuff. But, post Friday the 13th, which was the first, I think, big slasher movie that all of a sudden all these other scummy low budget directors were like, this is what we'll do.
Yeah.
So
this
that's
makes it easy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when we got all the slasher movies. To stand out from your own ripoffs, you gotta up your game, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Well, like the whole Giallo scene you're talking about?
Or just Friday the 13th, like by part 8.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 7 years of slasher movies.
Yeah.
In between the first and 8th Friday the 13th, and a lot of them had done interesting or better things. Or you had just completely batshit crazy stuff. Like, actually, the 3 Armenian mobster guys that produced Friday the 13th, they also made Pieces. If you've ever seen Pieces.
That sounds familiar.
I don't know that I've seen it, but I know I've seen it like listed. Like, if you like this, you would like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it is absolutely insane. I won't.
Yeah.
You have to see Pieces. Like, there's stuff that happens where you're like, what?
Is it like Maniac insane?
Maniac is like sleazy insane, and then it takes that supernatural spin as like very Twilight Zone-y. Pieces is Yes, there you go. Pieces is like all of a sudden there'll be a guy who knows kung fu for no reason, and the movie turns into a kung fu movie for like 2 minutes. Then there's just like weird characters. The ending is this insane non sequitur. It is like the craziest shock ending of a thing. Like it is just bonkers. It is the perfect post Friday the 13th ripoff by Italians who are making a movie in a language they don't speak.
I want all of that.
You want every bit of that.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
And Pieces also had my two favorite taglines. One was the poster said, "Pieces, it's exactly what you think it is." And the second one was, "You don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre." But I was like, it's exactly what you think it is. If you put that on any movie poster, I'm like, I'm seeing that.
Yeah. Street trash. It's exactly what you think it is.
Sold. But yeah, I mean, if you think of like other slashers we had between those two, there were some really good movies that were interesting or did something different with it, you know?
Yeah, because you had what, like Driller Killer was
Even
around
Prom
that time.
Night,
Prom Night,
even
yeah.
Terror Train,
The golden
you
age
know,
of like slashers.
Yeah.
even the Halloween, the post Halloween 3 Michael Myers Returns, Halloween 4 and 5, I think are better than 6, 7, or not 6, but 7 and 8 of Friday the 13th.
We were just talking Halloween 4 last night because it's the same director as Marked for Death with Steven Seagal.
God, I'm upset I wasn't on the Seagal one because man, Marked for Death. Screwface got a brother.
Yeah, he got 2 heads and 4 eyes.
Man, I have the
Is
script.
that the one with Bobby Lupo?
No, Bobby Fingers. Jimmy Fingers.
Yeah. I have the script somewhere for Hard to Kill because there's just scenes in that I couldn't believe weren't improv. So I got an original shooting script and I'm like, yeah, it's here.
Holy shit.
Somebody got paid to write that. Like,
Yeah. There's the puppy dog scene, puppy dog food scene. I don't know how familiar you are with that movie. Steven Seagal goes in, he goes, "Hey, you got any puppy dog food?" And then the actor's like, "Puppy dog food." Like it's just this weird thing.
We were
He's
supposed to do
such
that
a
episode
clown.
last week, and Tom, my co-host, made an animated commercial
did
for
it?
Steven Seagal puppy dog food. Yeah, if you go to our social media, it's on there. You can see it.
I get this stuff here.
Steven Seagal is such a fucking clown.
He's the man's clown shoes. But like we were saying, like as ridiculous as he is, Marked for Death wasn't a bad movie. Like it was
super
his
entertaining.
His first like 4 or 5 movies were rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he started sniffing his own farts.
Yeah. Stupid, awesome 80s action movies. Right up there with Stone Cold and you know, like Come in Peace and
episode of our action show.
Action Jackson. Yeah, I mean, they're just like great. But yeah, after that, he's oh boy.
As soon as he started painting his hair on,
Yeah.
that's when the movie quality goes down.
There's like you can see in Marked for Death, there's like a couple of scenes where he's wearing like a shirt with like dragons on it, like a tiger on the back. And I'm like, I guarantee you that was like the test run for like the Daishiki years when he was going like full like Asian, like with the prayer beads. Yeah, like yeah, like he's like, hey guys, like, does this look cool? Like, can I get away with this? Like, and it just amps it up from there.
Tom Arnold's told me some of the greatest Steven Seagal stories I've ever heard in my life, where he's just like, because Seagal won't rehearse. And if you see his movies, especially like post early 2000s, he basically shows up, does one take and leaves, does no post-production or anything. So if there's any looping or voiceover for his character, it's not him. It's someone doing his voice and not convincingly. And it's the movie's like he clearly was like, I'm done. Don't call me again. Like, and it's stunt doubles and stuff. So Tom was saying they were filming a movie and it was there was a scene on a houseboat. And basically on the houseboat, there's like this door goes to the water and this door goes to the dock. And Seagal doesn't rehearse, doesn't block the scene, nothing. He just shows up, they say action, and he starts walking towards the door that doesn't go to the dock. And Tom was like, everyone hated him so much, no one said a thing. And they all just waited for him. And he fell in and he can't swim. And so no one was helping him. And Tom's like, his like moo floated up and his head, you can see the hair. And Tom's like, he goes, so I'm like, they're just gonna let him drown. So Tom jumped in and grabbed him and like pulled him out. And he's like, get off me, what the hell? Just like,
You should have let him die.
yeah.
Well, there's that famous story. I think fuck. It might have been Rob Schneider who told this story about him being on SNL, where like,
oh, he's the most hated guest of all time.
Yeah, but like I think Rob tried to talk to him at one point, and like as he was walking by, he's like, I just heard the greatest song ever, and Rob was like, who wrote it? Like, what was the song? He's like, who wrote it? I did. And like he just kept walking on by, like
no sense of humor at all. But interestingly, I feel like the sort of when people were watching slasher movies for the kills and like the gore, that got picked up by action movies.
Oh yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I love the Equalizer, the Denzel Washington Equalizer. The first one especially, the whole last 30 minutes is a Friday the 13th movie. He's in a Home Depot just slaughtering guys with power tools in creative ways for like the whole half hour.
Yeah.
They just changed like the horror music to suspenseful music, basically.
Yeah. Or just like make the people he's killing just like complete garbage people you want to see get killed.
Yeah.
So it's like all of a sudden
all
heroic.
Better.
Yeah. Because it's that was the surprise after a while. You're like, how are they going to do it in this one? Like, people are going to get killed, but like, what's going to happen? And yeah, that is the other disappointing thing about part 8. There's no real innovative kills.
It's not clever. Yeah.
No.
There's just like big, goofy, samey shit.
It's
but,
maintenance horror. Like, here's the kill. Like,
the most like quote unquote clever thing that he did was punch his fucking head off.
Yeah.
But that was so stupid that it doesn't really count.
And again, that only is good because he's like, you're going to knock my block off and you get the POV. Like, I think without those two things, it's not even that exciting.
Yeah. No,
it's very trauma, like, which is
it really is
weirdly, the tone is weird there.
We've kind of like bucked the format, but do we want to throw some?
Sorry.
On this? No,
it's fine.
Dude, this is way better.
Guest shows are always kind of like off the cuff. Yeah, I'll throw some ratings on there. Oh boy. It's
tough.
It's a 4.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Out of
10. 13. 13 out of 13.
2 ratings, right? How does it compare to just movies? And then how does it compare in the Friday the 13th series?
As a movie, 4.5. In the series, 6.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, like I would. Oh man,
They just fuck you.
And
no, because I'm thinking like
let's rate the first 8 movies in order of goodness after.
I didn't prepare for that, Ken.
Because like I always say the line of rewatchability is 5. Like, would I rewatch this again? It has to be above a 5. And like I was gonna say, like, oh, this is clearly above a 5. Wait, would I actually watch this again?
Would I put this on if I was going to marathon the movies?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll watch it. I'm not gonna pick it out of the lineup though.
Yeah, no.
Like you finish part 7, and for a second you're gonna be like, I might just go to bed.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, I think 4.5 is about it. Like, because it's I'm rating it like that high because of nostalgia. Like, I really did love this movie when I was a kid, but like watching it now, it just doesn't hold up. It's very it's just hollow. It's just kind of like there's nothing to it. So yeah, I think I'm putting it at like below the line of rewatchability at 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the series of Friday the 13th, like it probably is a little higher than that. But I wouldn't say it's probably like my top 3 of the series. Maybe.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst of the series. Forever Part 5 was my worst, but I've rewatched that and it's more rewatchable than this is.
I actually hated Jason X for the longest time and then rewatched it not too long ago. I was like, okay, it's really not that bad.
I wasn't counting.
You don't want to count that?
Post, yeah.
Like the reboot years.
Okay.
I like that. Like Jason X is a parody. Like it's almost like a Naked Gun version of Friday the
Yeah.
13th.
Well,
you
because
know?
they walk him through his greatest hits of kills in that
Of
fucking
course, of course. David Cronenberg's acting in it. Like,
That's right. I forgot he was in that.
He also acted in Nightbreed, so let's not
Yeah.
he's amazing
He's-
in Nightbreed.
cast
Yeah,
aspersions.
he's done some good acting. He was in a great movie called The Last Night, and it was a apocalypse movie where the end of the world was coming, and it just followed all these different people on the last night on Earth. And David Cronenberg played this guy who's worked for the gas company his whole life, and he chooses to spend his final night on Earth calling every single customer and personally thanking them. And it's this really sad, funny character.
That's odd.
But yeah, from those first 8, like, what's worse than this one?
Yeah, you might be right. I think 5 is the one that like fucking scarred me for life when I
Yeah.
was a kid. That's the one where it's the dude. He's chopping wood, and then like the chubby dude comes over and like he just
Candy
kills the
bar.
chubby.
Yeah. Candy bar.
Yeah.
But that one is so sleazy. I mean, the guy who made Savage Streets made it. He again was a guy who directed pretty much only porn movies, and then Savage Streets and Friday the 13th Part 5. And they have
That's the way
this
it should be, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same formula, just
Yeah.
different execution.
Somebody's gonna end up wet at the end.
Exactly. The body fluids will be somewhere. But it's just like it has a grime and like a crazy sleaze to it that you're like, something about this is watchable because it's so like bleh.
I think a sign of a good slasher movie, like if you're talking strictly slasher, is that you feel kind of dirty at the end of it.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, because most of it, you get a lot of like the killer's point of view, or you're going through this horrific thing with these people, so you should be able to empathize with the victims, or you wind up like sort of identifying with the killer. And either way, you should be uncomfortable.
Yeah. But there's weirdly aside from Part 5, the Friday the 13th movies never felt sleazy. Like Maniac is a
Yeah.
sleazy movie.
Yes, it is.
Nightmare is a sleazy movie. Like all those New York shot slasher flicks are just like you just feel gross.
Yeah.
And-
And shower afterwards.
There's something kind of slick and weirdly like I don't know if it's the setting or what it is, but like the sleaze factor isn't really in these movies except for Part 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you rate it?
I think I'd go, if we're going out of 10, 4.5 I think is probably
Yeah.
about right, maybe a 4. And that the 0.5 is probably just the nostalgia. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really like a
getting that high.
4. Like if this wasn't called Friday the 13th, if this was just it's some slasher, it's not Jason, because it
Yeah.
could be anyone. Like the fact that he's Jason doesn't really matter in this movie more than any of the others. The fact that he's Jason matters nothing at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not tied to Crystal Lake. There's no character from a previous film or a character with a connection from a previous film, which is the case for all of the other ones.
Yeah.
So it literally could just be any monster that came to life and chased them to Manhattan. It's just like, what's the deal?
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go through a little bit of IMDb trivia.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, awesome.
I'll hit a little bit of credits too.
Not to bother you with trivia.
All right. Because we definitely talked about a bunch of this shit already. But
When you said that and you turned to that TV, I really expected you to tap a keyboard and for me to see like some green DOS stuff popping up on the screen. Like I made some notes.
that'd be great. Let's play a game. Despite the nature of the film and adverse filming conditions, Kane Hodder provided several moments of levity, which were appreciated by the cast. Following several death scenes, for instance, once director Rob Hedden called cut, Hodder would do a brief disco dance in full Jason costume and makeup, making the cast laugh.
Right.
I
I
kind of
watched
want to
that
see that.
movie.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Disco Jason.
And you could call it like not staying alive or something we could workshop.
According to an interview in Fangoria magazine, Kane Hodder vomited on cue in the final scene after drinking several pitchers of water. This was not a special effect.
Oh,
That's the most special effect.
Yeah,
I did
barf
notice
in
that.
movies is like Creepshow 2, which really felt sleazy to me.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single segment of that, someone pukes. And as a kid, that really
Yeah.
bothered me.
Yeah, we just did that a couple weeks ago. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I love that one. I love that one more than the first one.
There was some great stuff in there. I mean, the raft is fantastic.
Yeah.
Old Woodenhead made me really sad though. Like when George Kennedy gets shot, like I was legitimately upset.
Oh yeah. It's really really upsetting.
Yeah. The dude who looks like Sebastian Bach in brown face.
Did you watch Mindhunter?
No.
He's in that.
Oh, because he's like one of the main characters in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's see here. Charlene Martin initially expressed discomfort at being filmed nude for a shower scene. To put her at ease, director Rob Hedden borrowed a page from the theater and film lore and stripped down fully nude, walked into the shower himself to illustrate how easy it is. Yeah, just get naked and walk.
Look, to make everybody comfortable, I will also get naked and get in the shower with the attractive woman.
This dude is super, super horny. And we'll get to another fact that illustrates that.
Well, he was one of the, I think he might be the youngest person that directed one. He was like 27 or something.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow. Here's the nude scene in question.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
But without him.
Yes.
Yeah, thankfully.
But they were recording, so that's it. That was in the dailies. The director just dropping trowel and getting in the shower.
Dailies after dark.
Ooh. Spicy.
Steamy.
Let's see here. Here's how horny he is. All right. They fully intended for Rennie, the virtuous good girl, to have a nude scene, thus rebuking slasher norms in which only the slutty girls show skin. They simply forgot to cast an actress who would agree to it. The director repeatedly worked on wearing Jensen Daggett down, pointing to examples of notable actresses who had done nudity without causing damage to their careers. I'm looking straight at you, Jamie Lee Curtis, Trading Places. First, he asked her to go nude. She declined. Then maybe just topless. Again, she declined. Finally, he requested that she at least take her blouse off. Still, she declined.
It's a nice blouse, though. I mean, to be fair.
So nice.
That's the other thing. By 89, the novelty of nudity in movies was kind of old hat as well. Because we think about
you go into these, you go, oh, yeah, tits and gore.
Yeah.
Right. And we only had VHS since for 10 years, really, less than that for most people by that point. And that's when like really nudity in movies, people were like, and the like rampant nudity in mainstream movies, again, was kind of only about 10 years old. But so by this time it was kind of like, people at HBO, like, it was just starting to be like less of a novelty.
Yeah. Yeah. And even these days, it's like, okay, if you want to show me some nudity, make it count. Like, I'm not opposed to seeing a naked person, but not
don't
just
make
for
it feel gratuitous.
Not for the sake of seeing a naked person.
Yeah.
Like, make it count.
Yeah, and like the perfunctory nudity where they're just like, if it's a sex scene, whatever. But you get scenes in these movies where they're like, we have to have it in there, so we're just gonna have a scene of her changing or something where you're just like, why? Even as a viewer, you're like, what's the point of this?
Yeah. This film grossed $14 million.
Oh wow! And the budget was what you said, 45?
I think it was 54.
In here, they've got it as a budget of $5 million.
Oh, maybe it was 5.4 then.
Yeah, but that tripled its fucking budget. So like, if they were expecting like really crazy numbers,
Well,
Huh.
for budget, always double it because they always spend the budget amount on
Advertising.
promo. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that's not a great, especially what they had been making.
Especially what this should be at this point. It should be like a conveyor belt movie where they've done 8 of these. They know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
they know what they need to do, and it just didn't click for some
Yep.
reason.
This is one of only 3 Friday the 13th movies that was not scored by Harry Manfredini.
Although they still used his music.
Well, yeah. Come on now. Like you're not gonna have a Friday the 13th without those stabs and the
Right.
And then our last IMDb trivia fact. This has a body count of 20.
All right.
That's got to be one of the higher body counts.
Yeah, because he killed a couple of people in the city, and then like everybody that was on the boat, all that stuff. So I think that really just kind of juiced up the numbers. Because you had the diner scene, and then you had the junkies.
What the fuck is the ending? Like what were they going for with that?
They were like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is really popular.
Yeah.
Toxic waste.
But what? Like, all right. Even if you have, all right, toxic waste kills him, right? Fine. He's a boy.
Yeah.
In a loincloth.
If they had cut it off where like you just see his face melting like away.
Yeah.
Fine. Like, toxic waste kills him. But then like, you have this just boy. Like the
kid dressed like Mowgli.
Well, because I think what they wanted to do was not just another like cookie cutter. He's dead. In the next one, he'll have to be resurrected again. So that if they're like, okay, we'll turn him into a boy, and then that kind of opens up what we can do for the next one. And what is his origin story now? But
also,
it doesn't fucking work.
You could have done the Jason X thing where he gets exposed to the toxic waste and becomes like a super crazy monster Jason, and then they gotta pick,
But instead Kevin Nash to play him, Super Jason.
Yeah, do a Chud thing. But instead we get like an 8-year-old. We get Jonathan Taylor Thomas taking a nap.
But yeah, I was just saying, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe there's a river of toxic waste flowing under New York every night.
Every midnight. Yeah.
That really is written like someone who does only watch Fox News and be like, there's illegal immigrant toxic waste in all the sewers. And if you get in the shower,
they call it Biden toxic waste.
Yeah. But really good for
Toxic
your skin.
Joe.
Makes you look very youthful.
Yeah.
Because not only does it make him a child, it also cured him of all the birth defects and ailments he had in the first one.
Yeah.
That was the other weird thing. Why was
it cured him of being dead? Is what.
Well, yeah, I mean that too.
Like the kid is like different levels of deformed at different parts of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Like what was up with that too? Like sometimes he looks normal, sometimes he has like half a weird face. Like sometimes he has a totally weird face. Like,
yeah.
It was actually different kids. The whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, and that doesn't even like they banged these things out. Like literally, I think they shot this in like March and it was out in like August. Like they were shooting these things and like turning them around in like 6 months or less. So I can't imagine there was like a lot of studio interference. Like the biggest thing in these movies would be like MPAA cuts. So like that strikes me as a thing where like an executive's like, I was thinking, what do you think of toxic waste? And they're like, what do you mean?
It's a hot topic right now.
For the end of your movie. Like we already shot it. But like there's not even enough time for that.
Yeah.
My nephew wants to be in the movie. There's no kids in this movie.
There is now.
There is now.
Yeah, it's just like, ugh.
I was going to say, what's his name gets also drowned in a loose bucket of toxic waste. The not father, the girl's uncle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Creepy uncle.
I mean, there's a lot of movies with toxic waste in them, and they all stopped in 1990.
The peak was RoboCop. When you see the guy at the end, like that's it. It's all downhill after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, if the Chuds like killed him in the sewer, or the alligator from Alligator. Like those are good New York horror movies. Like Chud plays on what's scary about New York. Alligator plays on what's scary about New York with that element. And yeah, missing here completely.
Yep.
We will do a little bit of an abbreviated, better known as here. We'll talk about some of the credits. Rob Hedden.
Oh,
soundbite.
Yeah, I knew you. But you ain't you.
There we go.
There.
Yeah, director Rob Hedden. I think this is probably the biggest thing he would be known for.
Come on, Clock Stoppers.
And that's probably the second.
I think he just
I don't know if he
wrote that,
directed
too.
it. He just wrote it. He didn't direct it. He did some, like he did Star Trek Enterprise, like an episode of that. He did something called Poo Poo Papa in 2019.
Oh, we've all seen that.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't remember the memorable Poo Poo Papa? But really,
No, I don't know any of this.
yeah, 6 episodes of The Commish. Directed 2 episodes of Friday the 13th, the series before this. So you brought that up before. That's kind of how he got his foot in the door on this. I
mean,
this is it.
Friday the 13th movies are kind of career killers for directors. I mean, you have Steve Miner, who did part 2, who, did other stuff, a lot of garbage. And what's his name, who did part 6? McLaughlin, who did some decent stuff. But like, even Sean Cunningham that was like the last movie he directed, basically. He did House. John Beekler, did he do part 7?
I don't even know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's kind of telling because I don't really remember any of the directors for any of those fucking movies.
No.
Yeah. Let's see. Up next, Jensen Daggett. She was the lead. Rennie was her name. She's a very familiar face. She shows up on a lot of primetime shows in the 90s and 2000s. Will and Grace. She was in Major League, Back to the Minors. That was the third of those movies. Yeah,
Her name also sounds like an Old West swear.
Jensen Daggett. She was in the Project Alf TV movie in 1996.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 episodes of Home Improvement. Shows up in Matlock, so we have old people solving murders. She shows up in an episode of The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Yes, I love that show.
Yeah, the Bruce Campbell show. Step by Step. Melrose Place. Like I said, a lot of TV. Almost everybody in this movie, almost to a person, was in 21 Jump Street. As I was going through all the credits, every single person almost was in 21 Jump Street.
Because I believe they were both shot in Vancouver.
Yeah, there's a lot of Vancouver show shows that show up in the credits. A lot of those 90s syndicated shows.
Well, 80% of those were shot in Vancouver anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. Up next, we have Kane Hodder, of course, who is Jason in this movie. Probably what he is most known for is being Jason. He is in a lot of horror movies over the years.
He keeps track of how many people he has killed in movies.
Does he really?
He's got a count, and I think he's actually got the Guinness Book of World Records
for having killed
the most people on screen.
All right.
My favorite thing about him is to look at pre-Jason roles. When you see him pop up in things pre-Friday the 13th.
I think he did a bunch of Emergency, didn't he?
A ton. He does a ton of. He shows up as a stunt guy or like a goon and stuff, and it's always I love that.
He actually has the word "kill" tattooed inside his lip like a fucking gangster.
I knew a dude who had beer tattooed inside his lip.
Beer?
Yeah.
Actually, I would disagree. He's not the most prolific killer on screen.
No,
Skynet is.
There you go. Yeah.
Killed everyone. Yeah.
Everyone.
He played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Yeah, I think he did the mocap stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, he has the distinction of playing not only Jason but Leatherface.
Man, I wish that game was better.
Is it not worth getting?
You sounded like you were
get it on sale because it got
$30 now.
It got real repetitive real quick.
Uh,
And then they started doing a bunch of like, buy this skin, buy this chainsaw skin for
Oh, yeah.
$15.
yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Feel
It's
like the game itself is fine.
although
It's
if you
basically
look,
the same as the Friday the 13th game.
that's what it seemed like. That's why I didn't get it. But like, if you look at like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, that takes the first thing and just makes it 10 times exponentially crazier. Or like
Oh, yeah.
the Slumber Party movies. So like they really weren't keeping up with the Joneses here with Friday the 13th.
No. Well, because they were trying to keep it consistent-ish. You had things like Slumber Party Massacre. The first one, kind of a serious movie. Second one, off the fucking rails.
Amazing. I don't know why it hasn't been a stage musical.
Oh, also, I take umbrage with this guitar right here because that whammy bar is plugged into the input jack, not attached to the bridge where it should be.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking nerd,
Yeah.
and
Like
that just bothers me.
he has a whammy bar plugged in here, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to Kane Hodder. He
The
was
old Gibson LP Jr., eh?
Oh yeah. Yep. Modified it myself.
Attaboy.
nice. Oh yeah, Kane Hodder. He was in the Hatchet movies as well.
Yes.
I've never seen any of those.
I tried to watch the first one. I just could not get into it.
Yeah.
That like postmodern slasher movie thing, or horror movies in general, but especially the slasher movies made by like people who grew up loving them, they just don't work. Like because they feel like a movie. Like it just is too. There's not a believable world that you can get lost in.
It just feels like a tribute.
Right. Like look at all the movies I like. Here they are.
Yeah. Yeah, like to Tarantino to the extreme. Like I'm just gonna
Right.
rehash all the movies I liked.
Yeah.
Right, because the great thing about those 80s movies and Pieces, again, great example, it's like middle-aged men who are just like, what the hell do kids like?
Yeah.
I don't know. How about this? And come up with some insane thing that's
Some
completely
fucked up
wrong.
shit. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
toxic waste. Yeah, put it in the movie,
Yeah.
you know.
Take some acid. Here's your typewriter.
There you go. He played Ed Gein in Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield. That was 2007. Shows up in The Devil's Rejects in an uncredited role. He's in Monster in 2003 with Charlize Theron.
I was just thinking about watching that because I had never seen it, but I just listened to a podcast that covered that.
He did
case.
play Jason and Jason X, by the way.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Did he?
He'd only
Yeah.
done it like in like 3 movies.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because Freddy versus Jason,
that's
they recast
Freddy
him, and that's
versus
when
Jason
everyone
was
was like, how
yeah.
dare you? And I'm like, he was only in 3.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, nobody else had done 3 movies,
True.
so he had the longest streak going.
Shows up in a couple of episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger, Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Shows up in VIP, the worst show that I could not stop watching.
Well,
yeah.
I think we all know why.
Yep.
Someone's like, hey, Models Inc. is a little too cerebral.
we need to dumb it down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he was in Martial Law.
Martial Law.
Mm.
That's a
Sammo
Sammo
Hung.
Hung show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nash Bridges. He's in Children of the Corn 5. That was 98.
Ooh.
He's in Wishmaster 97.
Oh, yeah. He has a
I
cameo in
do
that. He's like
remember
a
that.
security guard or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those movies
He-
are god awful.
I like the first one.
When's the last time you saw it?
Probably about 5 years ago.
Oh, I don't know. I saw that on a date in the theater, and I think I was 18, and I was like, this is garbage. And I don't know. And I have no taste at this point in my life.
Yeah. Ugh.
That whole movie is like, you know, in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, when it gets really ridiculous when you get the CD head guy and the camera guy.
Yeah.
Wishmaster is an entire movie of just those 2 scenes.
It kind of is.
Let's see.
Blowing up cars for no reason.
Yeah.
Like,
He is in Best of the Best 3, the Eric Roberts fighting movie series.
The first one's
Uh,
actually pretty good.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It is.
I got to talk about that with him at a panel last year.
He was so high.
We debated this. I think he is just. I think it's just his natural, like, very like affable state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not a lot of painkillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like he has like arthritis or something in his hands.
No, it doesn't seem that way. His hands are.
It's
Yeah.
evident that yeah. But I mean, he was an awesome panelist. And I will say, like, one of my like panel highlights was of my career. We
He's
were
gonna be
talking
pushing
about
70.
yeah,
At least, yeah.
but we were talking about The Dark Knight, and I was like saying, like, I think that's one of my favorite movies of all time, not just favorite comic book movies. And like he started slapping me on the leg, like,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I was talking to him, and like every 5 seconds, he'd be like, "All right," give me like,
Yeah,
pound it.
yeah. Go
Yeah,
for the fist bump. Yeah,
got a Spicoli thing going on.
yeah.
Pretty much.
He also shows up in the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Pumpkinhead 2. He shows up in.
I haven't seen that in a long.
Yeah, that's
long time.
Pumpkinhead TOO, where Jason Bateman plays Pumpkinhead.
Oh, for all you
Ew.
Teen Wolf fans out there. He's in Best of the Best 2 also. He is Backdoor Man in Best of the
Yikes.
Best 2. Yeah.
I would say Best of the Best is legitimately probably Chris Penn's best role.
You can count him, man. Look at the bricks. Like, he was breaking the bricks later on. Yeah. It's either that or Nice Guy Eddie, like in Reservoir Dogs.
Wildlife.
I kind of like him in. Oh Christ, the Kevin Bacon dancing movie.
Footloose.
Footloose. Yeah.
Friday the 13th. I want someone to describe Friday the 13th as the Kevin Bacon dancing movie. Like every time they say that, people are like Footloose, and they're like, no.
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 Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Starts with
Hollow
an
Man.
F.
He shows up in Under Siege, the Steven Seagal classic.
Oh, you're doing air quotes classic now, but every other time that comes up, you are like, I love this movie. It's so fucking good.
No, I do love it, but come on, it's a fucking Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, but you also get crazy Gary Busey.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Like, yeah, makes a great crazy Gary Busey double feature with Predator 2. Oh, Under Siege 2, where Steven Seagal shoots the internet.
He probably thought that's how that really works.
Yeah.
He did change the script, actually. The script, that is not the conclusion of that movie.
Christ.
I'm gonna shoot the internet.
You know, one time I shot the internet.
Poor Eric Bogosian having to deal with that.
It's like, why are you a chef?
Oh man. There was one line in Marked for Death that, like, I for some reason thought was so hilarious. It's when he shoots Jimmy Fingers there. He's like, I'm Jimmy Fingers, I'm a made man. And like he shoots him in the head and he just goes, God made men. And like, smugly, like, smiles.
Ew.
Like, yeah. Like, you could tell he thought he was so clever with that line. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Out for Justice too. Speaking
Yeah,
of Seagal.
but he's stunt guy.
He's also in Ghoulies Go to College.
Oh,
Jim Wynorski's Ghoulies Go to College.
He played a gorilla in House 2 as well.
House 2 is a really good movie. I legitimately I love House 2. First of all, House 2, maybe the second best tagline for a movie. House 2, the second story.
yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad.
There's some really great stuff in there. John Ratzenberger is awesome. Like, I want a whole movie about that character.
For
Like-
the longest time, I always wanted a business card that had adventurer on the end. Like, yeah.
I like that movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because House had Norm and House 2 had Cliff.
Yep.
Yeah. I love House 1. That's also
House 1's
really
great
good movie.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best
We
William
had the
Cat
writer of that movie on our old podcast, and he was really interesting. He told some good stories. Told a story about Bill Maher fucking up his car on the first day of filming of that car or that movie.
Yeah.
He bought this like super expensive car. Was like showing it off. went to pull into the parking lot and just scratched the fucking shit out of it, like
Ugh.
all the way up the side. He said.
Amy Yazbek's great in it. Yeah.
Let's see. We are still on Kane Hodder. He's in
Oh.
Hard Bodies in 1984.
Fucking Lone Wolf McQuaid.
Lone Wolf McQuaid, yeah,
Yes.
83.
God, Hard Bodies is unwatchable. You try to. Oh my God, it's not even
Is it?
like ironic worthy. It's
Somehow has a
painful.
4.9 on IMDb.
Yeah, it's bad. Courtney Gaines is in it.
He's in both of the Alligator movies, Alligator and Alligator 2.
As
which
the
isn't
alligator.
bad.
I think he plays the alligator.
Yeah,
Billy
Alligator 2
Boy.
isn't bad. You got what's his name?
He does play the alligator in the first one.
What's the guy's
That's
name?
not even a joke.
Who's the actor that looks like Blade from Puppet Master?
Oh God. Hold on, let's see.
Oh, Billy Drago.
Not Billy Drago, but close.
Richard Lynch.
Richard Lynch.
Richard
maybe?
Lynch. Richard
Yeah.
Lynch. Yes. Richard
Hawk
Lynch is good in
Hawkins.
that. Yeah.
Let's see. We will move on. Todd Caldecott. Who the hell was he? Jim. There had to be 21 Jump Street shows up. Oh, I saved him because he was in Anything But Love, an episode of that with Richard Lewis
Jamie Lee Curtis and
Jamie Lee
Richard
Curtis.
I'd rather watch Any Which Way But Loose. But
And in Magnuson.
Yeah.
Wasn't anything but
Yeah.
love.
Up next, Peter Mark Richmond, who is like the asshole uncle. He's like one of those actors who just plays an asshole in like everything he's in.
yeah, he's got the look.
Yeah. He was in this movie, Agent of Harm, from 1966. I think it was a Mystery Science Theater movie at one point.
Did that have a 2.4 rating?
It did.
Holy shit.
It is not as good as Hard Bodies.
Hard
apparently.
Bodies. Almost half as good as Hard Bodies.
But apparently Hard Bodies is 0.4 better than Friday the 13th Part 8. So
Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
that tracks. Let's see. The dude with 3 names. Peter Mark Richmond.
The dude with 3 names.
I just remember the dude with the familiar face with 3 names.
The assassin.
Yeah. He's done a lot of voice work. Did some stuff for Batman Beyond, Superman the Animated Series. He was Abin Sur, the Green Lantern that gives Hal Jordan his ring.
Oh.
Spider-Man the Animated Series. He's in the Naked Gun 2.5.
Batman, the animated series.
Swamp Thing, the TV series. He's
Ooh,
doing some
Swamp
work for
Thing, the
DC.
TV series is one of the.
I loved that as a kid.
Oh,
Loved
I loved
it.
Swamp Thing so much, and I was so disappointed by that. It was like, how did you make this bore? It feels like homework.
You have this interesting character, like not only visually, but like
I think I just like.
story-wise.
I think I just liked looking at him and hearing the voice modulation they had on him.
Yeah. And then that one they did a couple of years ago, like
Yeah.
was kind of promising, and then like it just
That was
kind of
good.
fell apart.
They-
I think it kind of fell apart. I think towards the end, like story wise, but otherwise, I thought it was really good.
I remember a
Yeah.
lot of people being really upset when it got canceled.
Yeah,
They had Stephen Bissett come to the set, and they were like, and he was like, I don't want to. They're like, no, we're making your Swamp Thing. We want to make the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, and he was like, it looked amazing. He's like, they were trying.
I
it
think
got into like the body horror stuff.
I think
like,
it boiled down to just being too goddamn expensive.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
what they made this gigantic like indoor swamp set, and like to store it in between like the seasons wouldn't have been cost effective. So like, well, just get rid of it.
But like Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, which is not a good movie, that still feels gross and sleazy.
Yeah.
It's like it has that like it has a Hills Have Eyes. You're like, "Ugh." Like even though it's not. I mean, it helps that half the cast, The Last House on the Left, is in it.
Yeah. And Adrienne Barbeau's nipples.
Only if you lived in Europe.
It's true. Yeah, we did it for the show not that long ago, and I remember like watching it. Like, I don't remember tits being in this when I was a kid because I watched this all the time.
Yeah.
But in 1986, he was in Murder, She Wrote.
How come no one's ever written like a slasher movie, Matlock Murder, She Wrote type mashup movie?
I don't know, but I want it.
Yeah.
Old people solving grisly murders.
Yeah. Yeah, because I always call them cute murders, like clutch your chest and die murders. There's
Yeah.
never blood.
Oh, Fanny put some arsenic in this apple pie.
Columbo's going after rapists and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. But this is another dude who's like all over TV in the 80s, aside from Murder She Wrote. TJ Hooker, Knight Rider, he shows up in a couple episodes of that. He's on the Love Boat.
The
20.
fuck boat.
He's got boat experience.
Yeah.
That's
My
he
boat
went in
acting
for,
is top
he went
notch.
in for the audition and was like, I've done boat acting.
Boats. I've done boats.
You have an experience on boats.
There is no finer working boat actor today than myself. I'll just say that. Yeah.
I mean, even Zombie 2 had a zombie fighting a shark. You got
Yeah, it
Jason
did.
on a boat, you can't even pull that out.
Can't give me Jason versus an octopus at least,
Right.
like a moray eel, something. Oh yeah, back to this. Like I said, he's all over TV in the 80s. Dynasty, Santa Barbara, which is a soap opera,
I love
Fantasy
Santa Barbara.
Island, yeah, The Fall Guy, Heart to Heart, The Incredible Hulk,
Side
BJ
note,
and the Bear.
the new
Yeah.
Fall Guy looks amazing. Have you seen the trailer?
I do really want to see that.
It
yeah.
looks awesome.
Like I'm not a huge rom-com fan, but it does look like a rom-com that you would want to see. Like in the 90s, they had a couple of good ones, I think, that got out. Like it kind of harkens back to that, I think.
Yeah.
I
It
hope
looks
anyway.
fun. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
action scenes look awesome.
Yeah, because it looks like all practical stunts. That's why. Like
Yeah.
I hope so anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I very much do want to see that. BJ and the Bear, Three's Company, Charlie's Angels.
BJ and the Bear needs to come back.
Shows
funny
with
thing
monkeys.
is, Bear was a monkey.
Yeah. That's what made it brilliant.
What was going on with America in the 70s where we're like, in our collective
People had monkeys.
Yeah,
Like they
there were
had them.
monkey movies, monkey TV shows. Like
Let me tell you, yep. The C and CB stood for cocaine.
The B was Bear.
Yeah.
Yes.
My friend's father was in college in the late 70s, early 80s, I think. And he was telling me a story. And he went to RPI and he was in a frat. And one of the guys in the frat house had a monkey. And he said the thing would do nothing but beat off all day.
Did anyone
Doesn't
ever
matter.
see the monkey, or was this guy's excuse for everything?
yeah.
No. He saw the monkey. And he described to me that the monkey's penis was so beat up that it looked like a catcher's mitt.
This sounds like a weird, scared straight chat this guy had.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Don't own monkeys.
Oh,
Don't do cocaine. Don't own monkeys.
this kid I used to went to school with, his mom was like a clown, and she had a
Rude.
monkey.
Was like a clown or was a clown?
She was
Those
a
are
clown.
very different.
Yeah.
She's a fucking clown.
She just wear a lot of makeup and you laughed at her, or was she actually a clown?
This is where you develop the kink, isn't it?
That's where it all started. But no, she did like kids' parties. She was a clown, and she had a monkey that she would bring to like lacrosse games because this kid played lacrosse. And like I remember people telling me the monkey would start screaming like in the middle of the games. Like, yeah, they'd have to she'd have to leave and take the monkey away because it would start freaking out.
She'd go shock the monkey.
Oh,
Good song. Good cover.
Yeah.
Coal Chamber and Ozzy Osbourne covered that.
okay, that's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? 2000?
Those Peter Gabriel songs had a pretty dark vibe to them and cover well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Fred Henderson. He was the boat captain. Is there a reason I saved him?
I'm assuming he was on 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, probably. Oh,
Sounds like a guy that would sell you a refrigerator at like a Lechmere.
Fred Henderson. Here you go. Here's my card.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Is he still acting?
Yeah, he was in. I know why I saved him. He was in Riverdale for 3 episodes as Governor Dooley. Somebody else in this, I think I saved their credits. they were on like 29 episodes as like mayor of Riverdale.
Oh,
Again,
Jesus.
shot in
Riverdale.
Vancouver.
Riverdale political royalty here, apparently.
I could not give a fuck less about that show.
It
It was
was
fun.
batshit crazy.
It just didn't do it for me. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Red Knight or whatever bullshit was going
there's
on with Archie.
insanity
Like,
in there.
I think Amanda was telling me like by the end of it, like all like Archie, Veronica, Jughead, and Betty were like in like a 4-way couple or something at the end.
I'm just
like,
tired of seeing millionaire teenagers.
You want to see them murdered, which is why they should
Yeah.
reboot.
I want to see some titties, and I want to see teenagers get murdered.
Yes.
Full
Man of
circle.
simple
We've gone
tastes.
full circle.
You know, everything comes back into vogue eventually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scott Reeves. He was the son of the boat captain. The kid who had like, you know, hey, I know it's your college class trip. You probably want to have fun with your friends and drink, but you're the boat captain now. Enjoy.
Yeah, you're the captain now.
Yeah.
A
Here's the
reverse
sector.
pirate.
Yeah.
He conscripts people into doing things they don't want to do.
You're working now.
Let's see. This dude was in 14 episodes of Nashville. Oh, I'm sorry. I know why I saved him. He was in 565 episodes of The Young and the Restless.
Yeah,
Like-
that's like a year.
One
of
and a half
episodes.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that season and a half was just so memorable. He was also in 2 episodes of the I Know My First Name is Steven TV series.
Oh, that was a
mini-
miniseries. Yeah. The
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
You know who played Steven?
Wasn't it was it the dude from Wings?
I think it was
Or
Corin Nemec.
Oh, yeah,
Tucker
yeah,
Lewis.
okay, yeah. For some reason I thought it was the other, not Tim Daly, the other guy.
Oh,
I don't know what. Yeah.
Steven Weber.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. The guy who's on Curb. He was also in 3 episodes of The Munsters Today.
No, thank you.
Yeah. He was in Big Man on Campus in 1989.
That's
ever
coming
seen
out
that
on
movie?
4K Blu-ray soon.
Is it really? I have not seen that movie. Yeah. I have not seen that movie since the mid 90s. But it is about a hunchback that like they find like living on this college campus.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
It's played by John Cassier.
The original
isn't it?
script was called The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, god damn it.
No,
yeah,
it's not.
and it's not John Cassier. It's the guy who wrote the script
Alan
plays
Katz.
the Hunchback. Yeah.
But yeah, he names himself Bob Maluga Luga Luga Luga.
I may have seen that.
It was on
That
HBO
sounds
a
really
lot
fucking
back in the
familiar.
day.
Casey Semetsko, I think, is the main
Fucking Tom
character in that.
Skerritt's in that shit.
Melora
Yeah.
Hardin, Tom Skerritt, Armin Shimmerman. Yeah, that's a weird movie. Moving on, Gordon Curry, who was the Parker Lewis looking kid with the video camera. He was in a bunch of those Left Behind movies for some reason.
Because he was a cocaine addict and then became a born again Christian. That's the reason.
That's probably it. But he was also in My Blue Heaven in 1990, which I will always shout out that movie because it's great. Anything else worth mentioning?
Kelly
Here's where
Hughes.
some of those, yeah, like those like syndicated shows show up. Mutant X, Highlander, The Raven, Poltergeist, Legacy. That was another one of those like weird syndicated shows from the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah. Right
Forever
there with like
Night.
Millennium.
Yeah.
I liked Millennium.
I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember watching.
That was
a
the one with
lot
Lance
of it.
Henriksen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lance Anderson. It's really cool. It's a very interesting show.
And he was also in Murder, She Wrote, 1993.
God damn.
There's the sound effect.
I didn't realize we moved on to Gordon Curie. I had a whole joke when I was talking back and forth with Mad Hatter.
Oh.
I got sidetracked.
Anything worth shouting out in the chat?
Well, apparently the Archie thumbnail on Netflix was the same as the It Follows thumbnail on Netflix. for
It's
the
a
longest
car.
time.
It's just a car.
Yeah.
Did
So it's like,
anyone notice?
yeah. And so then we were talking about that. And that was basically it.
All right.
Oh, and Wingshauser. And I said that
Wingshauser.
would be a good restaurant. and
in
then
Mutant.
Wings.
Have you
Hauser
guys seen?
Wing
Have you seen Champagne and Bullets?
No.
No.
Oh, you got it. Wings Hauser is hammered the entire movie. Just go. You watch it online tonight and thank me later.
We did Rubber last week, and he's in that. He's the older
Yeah.
horror fan in that.
Ugh.
Martin Cummins, he was Wayne in this. He was the guy who's the mayor of Riverdale for 78 episodes, apparently.
Jesus Christ.
And then lastly, we have Kelly Hu.
Is it who or Hugh?
Who. Yeah, she's probably most well known for being in X-Men 2. She was in the Scorpion King. But she's been in a ton of stuff over the years.
Miss Teen USA.
Yeah. She was on the Orville for 8 episodes.
Yep.
Did some voice work in Mortal Kombat.
2-parter Growing Pains season opening from season 5, featuring the Christopher Cross song "Swept Away."
That's very specific, Ken.
Yeah.
Was when they shot in Hawaii.
Oh, it was that era where sitcoms had to go to Hawaii once at least once in their
at Sweeps Week, man.
Yeah. She was in 13 episodes of Arrow.
When did Sweeps go away?
It's still around.
Is it
still
really
around? But seasons aren't really the same thing anymore, and they have much
that
more.
Was the
accurate...
thing. Like it was a huge thing for a while.
Because it's when they would set the advertising rates, so you would want to get as high a rating as possible because that's what you would have for the. But now they could do ratings to the minute, so they don't need it.
Yeah, but that's when you got all like your weird crossover episodes,
stunts. Yeah.
She was in 31 episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles doing a voice. More Mortal Kombat work, more Turtles. She did a lot of stuff for the Turtles. It keeps popping up. She was in an episode of Castle.
I do like that show. I'll mention that every time it comes up.
Nathan Fillion?
Oh yeah.
He's just a likable dude.
He seems like the coolest person.
Yeah. And I'm one of those guys I don't want to meet because I don't want that to be broken.
Yeah. I don't want that to spoil.
Yeah.
I will say I've never heard a bad thing about him, and anytime I get a dude pitched to me to be on my show or that to work with, I spend an hour having to research if they're a rapist or not now, because that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
And he is a guy I've never heard anything bad about.
I think he just acts, does panels, and then goes home and plays video games. I think that's all he does.
That's about
right. But yeah, I feel your pain on it doing that research. Because we don't have guests much on this show, but over the years I had a lot of guests on my old show, and every now and again I see names pop up in the news. I'm like, oh, I remember that guy.
Let me pull that from the back catalog.
Yep. Let's see. She was in a Dark Shadows reboot in 2005. It's a TV movie.
Oof.
She's in one of the Librarian movies, The Quest for the Spear. That was 2004. I mentioned X2. She is in the DMX Jet Li movie, Cradle to the Grave.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. There's a cool scene where Jet Li's jumping from balcony to balcony in this hotel, dropping down from the 40th floor.
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
That's some straight up Jackie Chan shit.
The Scorpion King we mentioned. Martial Law shows up again. She was in 44 episodes of that.
Hell yeah.
He's one of the leads in that.
And then 23 episodes of Nash Bridges as well.
Yeah, they brought her in, I think, the last season to try and juice up that show a little bit. Cheech Marin's sex appeal started to fade.
Not the drawing power he used to be.
Yeah. Did you see that Cheech and Chong are characters in, I think it's Call of Duty now?
What?
Yeah, and there's have finishing moves where they take a shotgun and blow smoke through it to kill you or some shit.
Is duty spelled Doody?
At this point, it should be.
Oh, that is something I don't need.
No.
She's in Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
I love that
and
movie.
that movie came up last night. That's why I remember I'm mentioning it.
No, the Don Johnson connection, right? Isn't it Don Johnson?
Yeah.
No.
It's Don Johnson and
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey
Mickey
Rourke.
Rourke, right? Yep.
Yep. Before his face turned all plastic.
Schenectady native Mickey Rourke.
That tracks.
Yeah, it's the next town over. She was in The Doors in 1991, the Oliver Stone movie. Hey, 21 Jump Street shows up.
Oh wow.
Yeah. She was in a couple episodes of Night Court, Tour of Duty. She was in for a couple of episodes, and that Growing Pains arc was her first role. 3 episodes of that. That'll do it for the Better Known As. Yeah.
We're into the crapshoot.
We're into the crapshoot. Yeah, we the freeform part of the show.
Yeah. This is the part where I'm going to go pee.
Oh,
Apologies for interrupting the show, but
Yeah.
carry on.
I mean, sort of on theme, but
A little bit, yeah.
we have run way longer than we expected.
that's my fault. I take full
Yeah,
credit
no
for
worries.
We like it.
Yeah. Hey, it's less work that we have to do.
I will say I enjoyed the Friday the 13th reboot and was sad it didn't do well enough to have sequels because it managed to take the first 3 Friday the 13th movies and make them into one coherent, better movie.
Yeah, like condense it down, yeah, like you said, into one movie. It that seems to like be getting more of a following too as it gets older. I've noticed like more and more people like appreciate that movie. Yeah, I was disappointed that didn't go anywhere.
It was one of the better reboots, if not like that, because that came out the same month as the My Bloody Valentine reboot with the other guy from Supernatural, which I like better than the original My Bloody Valentine.
That was like in that like that 2000s, early 2000s era of horror. We were just getting like all this horror like every week, and they all kind of looked the same. And yeah, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. We did Rubber last week, and like I kind of was talking about how I think that movie is kind of a critique of like the state of horror at that time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyway, enough about Rubber. That was one of those movies we never need to watch again.
Yeah, fair enough. Because I'm thinking of other.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just trying to think of other slasher movies from that era, the Friday the 13th era, that would be like a good remake. Because like The Prowler is very good. Probably doesn't need to be remade. Directed by Chris Zito, who did I think Friday the 13th Part 4. I want to say.
All right, that's like the Corey Feldman one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just did a movie like within the past couple of weeks. I'm like, I'm not usually a reboot guy, but this could be rebooted. You remember what that was?
Martin.
Yeah, we finally watched
Martin's
a couple
so
weeks
good.
ago.
Martin's so good. Although, like, part of the thing about Martin that is so great is the character of Pittsburgh as this decaying, like, just industrial wasteland.
Yeah,
and like you'd have to find an equivalent place.
I mean, Detroit's probably pretty cheap to film in.
but even now, like Detroit's kind of coming around. They're like,
is it?
Yeah, like that era of it like, being in decline. I mean, it's not what it used to be, but they're doing something with it at least.
Jack White literally has like personally revitalized downtown Detroit. He built a factory in a store, like his headquarters is there, and they press all the vinyl.
Yeah, all third man records.
Yeah.
It's all like
right.
In Nashville.
Yeah.
No, I was going to ask, what have you been up to, man? I know you're back out there doing stand up again. I think you are going to be or did already. We're opening for Todd Barry for a while.
Yeah, usually like since 2009, I'll do like a week or two every year with Todd. So
nice.
It's 2 weeks from now. We're going out the 24th of April for like 5 days, doing Western Mass, doing South Deerfield. It's a little tour that makes the least amount of sense from a driving perspective. We do South Deerfield, Mass. Then the next day we're in Portland, Maine. Then we're in Westerly, Rhode Island. Then we're in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
No, what the fuck is that?
That's it. Those are shows booked by someone who doesn't live in New England. But they should be fun. Like we were out in Amherst in October. That was a really good show. So we'll be going back out there again. And Jay Maskus from Dinosaur Jr. came to the show. That was fun.
Oh, sweet.
Whoa, nice.
So yeah, doing that. Still podcast is still weekly. I have episodes in the can through August.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
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 How often do you record?
It sort of fits and starts. Like this is an unusual lead time. I'm usually like a month to 6 weeks ahead at any given time, but I would say like it's like a 60-40 yes to no on guest asks. So I always like, have some redundancy built in. But like recently it was like the rate of hits went way up from this like batch of people. So I just recorded. So I'll go like a week. Like last week I did like 5 episodes, but then I'll have like 2 weeks where I don't do one.
Okay.
But I'm still editing and
smart.
stuff. So it'll be like a bunch in a burst, and then I'll have a couple weeks off.
Yeah, for a long time we had a 5-week buffer, and then we decided we didn't like that.
Slowly getting whittled down.
We're at a week now, but we didn't like that because anytime we try to talk about anything like topical, like I just watched this or I just watched that, like we're a month behind.
Yeah, so the only reason it works for mine is because it's like the least topical show in history.
Yeah, yeah, you're just talking about like old shit.
Yeah,
like 1981 is going to be the same.
Yeah. We could be not topical because we're just talking old movies, but we got into that groove of like talking about what we're doing.
It's this part of the show.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, what are you doing right now? Like I don't remember how many episodes, but a lot of Creep Show.
I saw you posted about that.
Yeah, like shitloads.
Did you like it? Because
I did.
I watched the first few episodes and I was like,
Yeah, same. I watched the first season and I was like, okay.
I think I pushed through the first couple episodes and then just found the groove, and like I realized what they were trying to do. So it feels like a watered down version of Tales from the Crypt. It doesn't really feel like the movies, but it's almost got a hint of that like that black comedy that you get in like the 80s Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah, I was like, this is like Blumhouse Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's that's about it. I don't know. Because I was just sitting. It was like I want something that I don't want to think about, and it's going to be entertaining. Here it is. And
that seems like perfect. For, like throw it on in the background while you're like reading a book.
Yeah. I was putting furniture together, so it was perfect.
I started watching Fallout this week. I know you were watching that as well.
I watched the first 2 episodes and I really dug it.
I'm digging that show a lot.
Yeah.
An old Boston comic friend is in an episode. I haven't watched it yet, but I love the game. But she's like one of the vault dwellers.
Really? All right. Yeah. Oh, who is it?
Nonya Brown.
All right. I have to. Don't know if I've come across that episode. I'm like on episode 3. So the vault dwellers have been like mostly in the first episode.
Yeah.
But no, that I did not think that show was going to be as good as it's turned out to be.
Well, that's the thing is like if you can get the vibe of the world, you can do anything with it,
which they nailed.
Yeah,
I mean, like all the sets look like they're straight out of like you can even like the town is from Fallout 3. Like I know exactly that town.
Yeah,
like the music is straight from the game. Just the look and the vibe of everything is dead on.
Unfortunately, they are hammering the music. Like they're playing.
I mean, that is like Fallout is the music is pretty prominent throughout the whole thing. So like that's probably why.
Yeah, if they're only playing like 3 songs.
Yeah.
I had to stop playing 3 because it's set where I live.
Yeah, that's right. It's in Boston. Yeah.
It was like weirding me out. Like I think I got to a part where I was like fighting robots in Malden T Station where I used to like take the train into college. I was like, this is a little bit this sounds like a dream I had.
It's too much. That's too much. I think New Vegas is probably my favorite of those.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of 4. I just
4 was really good. I liked 4.
I didn't get too far into it.
But no, everybody's got Walton Goggins is awesome in it. Like he's kind of like the anti-hero.
You can just say Walton Goggins is in it.
And
like because he's gonna be awesome.
Another person whose name sounds like an old West swear.
Walton Goggins.
That's like a prospector.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been to the movies this week yet. I think we're gonna go tomorrow.
What's even out right now?
Oh,
The first Omen is out.
which I heard is actually really good.
I have been hearing good
Yeah.
things.
Did you guys see Late Night with the Devil?
Yes,
Loved it.
Yeah,
Did you see it?
No, but I've heard it's great.
Ugh.
I'm waiting for it to stream, which is like next week.
Bro.
it's like I think like next week or the week after
Yeah.
it's going to be on Shutter. Yeah,
April 20 something.
yeah. We somehow lucked into getting like one of those like press screeners for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like we were blown away. Movie is so good.
It's a total vibe. Like I describe it to everyone this way. It's like it's nothing that you haven't seen before story-wise, but the presentation is new and fresh, and
Right.
it's exciting to watch.
And like the attention that they paid to detail, as not just for like the horror stuff, but I mean like the 70s like TV show aspect of it, dead on. Like David Desmalchin is like he must have studied Carson like just endlessly, to get like everything down, the mannerisms, like perfect.
Have you ever seen
yeah.
the episode of 2020 where they did a live exorcism?
I was like way back in like the 90s, wasn't it?
1990, yeah.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that.
I know I've seen clips of it, but I don't know if I saw the whole
It's
thing.
silly. It's on YouTube. It's silly because it's
it's an
that
exorcism.
also it's clearly some girl who has mental health issues that are being exacerbated by her parents being super religious. Speaking of Martin, but at one point she starts going, "My name is Minga."
Yeah,
So it's like the weirdest thing.
I am Minga. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also the exorcism. I
love-
think it was on like Sightings or something that
Yes.
they gave to the dude in England who was a werewolf.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. I love a good exorcism. Anything. Like, I don't know why. It's just the idea of demonic possession and exorcism and all the shit that comes along with it. Like, if it's real or if it's a mental health issue, like obviously in the real world, I understand it's a mental health issue, but like in media, when they walk that line, it makes it exciting because you can follow both sides of it.
Yeah.
But like, I like to listen to, there's a podcast called The Exorcist Files, which when it started off, like it was really cool. And it was kind of like, like an outsider perspective, like, hey, this is us studying the religious context of exorcisms. And as it went on, it got like really, really religious
Mm-hmm.
To the point where they're like, now we're going to talk about the archangels and give you a history lesson on the Bible. I'm like, I'm
out.
so
Episode
good on
4,
that.
Smiting.
Yeah. But I still listen to it because I'm like fascinated. But
Have you watched Evil?
I haven't, but a buddy of
heard
mine
it's
tells me it's
amazing.
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
good. The final season starting next month. It is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Easily one of
Really?
the best shows on TV. It's the Kings who did The Good Fight and The Good Wife, who started working for Roger Corman. One of the first movies they did was The Nest, and then they did Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
Jesus.
But the premise of this show is
That movie is so fucking ludicrous because it's
Oh, yeah.
Eric's Revenge, but there's no previous movie.
Nope, it's like the Leonard Part 6 of horror movies. Yeah, it's a priest, a clinical psychologist, and a scientist who work for the Catholic Church investigating demonic possessions.
Yeah. I'm sold.
Yeah.
It's been on my to watch list for so long. I've just never pulled the trigger on it.
Catch up before May 24th when the 4th season starts, and you will be psyched. It's scary and funny and just awesome.
Oh, perfect. I need a show now. Like I'm like wrapping some things up. Like I just need something to fill that like.
That's got the guy who played Luke Cage in it, right?
Yeah.
Mike Coulter.
Yeah. Who's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Have you watched From?
Yes. Oh no. That's the one that was on MGM, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
there's 2 seasons.
that was really good too.
Yeah, its 3rd season starting soon too. That was really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's kind of like a Lost type of thing where like they're like, if correct me if I'm wrong, but they're like in this kind of world where they don't really know
Sort
where
of like
they
a
are.
50s idyllic town that they end up in and they can't leave and there's monsters and no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, like once the sun goes down, like monsters come out and stuff. Like,
Oh, weird.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out. I hear Donner freaking out in the other room.
Yeah. I think he hears the wind blowing.
Well, it could be Jason Voorhees.
They could
Yeah.
be.
There's no
be.
dogs in the Friday the 13th movies.
There wasn't this one.
There was there was a dog
Ace
in
the
this.
dog was his name.
Yeah.
Yep.
The first time they introduced a dog, and it was too late.
That
Couldn't
ship
save the
has,
franchise.
that ship has sailed.
Yeah, it's the cousin Oliver of the
Oh,
Friday the 13th
God.
franchise.
Or 7 from fucking Married with
Yeah.
Children.
Oh well, this has been a blast. I think it's a good place to wrap it up though, because we're inching up on 2 hours.
Are we
Oh, I'm
really?
sorry.
Yeah. No, dude,
No.
don't be sorry at all. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been great. It's 10:05 now, so
Holy
we're
shit.
almost to 2 hours.
Yeah.
No,
No, I didn't even feel that way.
yeah. No, thank you again for stopping by.
Oh, yeah, anytime. No, thanks for
Had
having me.
an absolute blast. Folks, check out Ken's show, TV Guidance Counselor, wherever your finer podcasts are found. You're on YouTube as well.
Yep.
Check it out there. Anything else you want to mention?
No, that's probably it. I'm trying to think of who the guest is this week coming up. Oh, it's Alan Katz and Gil Adler, who wrote and did Tales from the Crypt and Bordello Blood.
Yeah, nice. That's
Badass. That's
It'll be
awesome.
fun.
We're definitely checking that out.
Yeah.
And one of our past guests, Doug Arthur, gave a shout out for your interview with Evan Dorkin.
Oh, yeah,
you wanna
that's a
go-
long
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun
Yeah.
one. Yeah, Evan's an awesome dude.
But yeah, please go check Ken out. You can check us out at various places.
Oh, what a segue.
You like that? I was
Yeah.
handing it off to
You
you.
don't even have to strip down yourself if you want to check you guys out.
So we'll give you our socials here. Our website is www.bigdumbmonsters.com. If you want to email us suggestions for the show, movies we should watch, beer we should drink, if you think the show can change, go for it. Just don't send us dick pics, please. bigdumbmonsters@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at Big Dumb Monsters Pod. We are on Slasher, the all horror social network, which is a really awesome community. A lot of really good people on there. We are Big Dumb Monsters Podcast. And you can find us on Steam every now and then. We'll sign in and do some stuff and play some games.
You can check us out on Instagram and Threads at big_dumb_monsters. We usually stream the show every Saturday night on Twitch and YouTube, although no YouTube streaming tonight. But it'll be back. We are at Big Dumb Monsters on both of those. You can come check out our merch store at TeePublic. Just search for the Big Dumb Monster Store. And that is it. Yeah.
I think
Thanks,
that's
guys.
it.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by one more time, Ken. We really appreciate it.
Again,
Yeah.
anytime.
And
Two banger episodes.
yeah. Well, last time you were here was like 100-something episodes ago, I think,
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, it's too long.
for the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it won't be as long this time, because this was way too much fun to let it go as long again.
Yeah.
You know where to find me.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, folks.
Bye-bye.